What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we are going to do a front-end mentor challenge, and we're going to build this recipe page. So this is the desktop design. This is the mobile design. Okay, so pretty simple. Well, it looks simple, but there was I think there was like a couple things that kind of tripped me up for like a couple minutes, surprisingly. But I figured it out, and I'll tell you how to figure this out too. If you're new to coding, this is a really good a little beginner challenge here. Before you try to build like a whole landing page or a whole website, this is a perfect little challenge. So anyway, that's the design. This is the finished product that we're going to be building. Okay, so this is my finished product that I'll be building with you now. Looks pretty close to the design. It's not exact because I couldn't get the Figma design file to work when I downloaded it. I don't know if it's just glitched out or broken, but I downloaded the Figma design file. I opened it in my Figma, and it was like nothing there. So I just had to go by looking at stuff and using the style guide that comes with the download. But anyway, that's the desktop. This is the mobile version that I built. So it looks pretty close. It's probably not exact to the design, but it's as close as I could get it just eyeballing it. So I'll take it. It's not too bad. So anyway, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder for the project, and we'll just call it Omelet Ever. Okay, I think that's the name of it in the thing. But so we got Best Omelet Ever. And then let's go ahead, and I know that when you download the zip file, Frontend Mentor gives you some starter stuff, but I always like to make my own folder and make everything how I want it, and then I'll just copy the images that we need over. So let's open up Visual Studio Code, open up our Best Omelet Ever project, and I'm going to make an index.html and a style.css. And then we'll make a folder. I think there's only one image we need, but we're going to make an IMG folder for the image. And then on my other screen, I'm just going to go in and unzip this thing and get what we need. So I'm going to drag the omelet image that we need over to our image folder of our project. It's the only one we need. And then as far as any other files that I might need, I'll take out this, I'll put the style guide in here because that'll give us a little bit of guidance. That's all I really need. There's a bunch of README files in here and junk that I don't need, so that's it. The style guide, we need to get the font family. I guess there's two of them actually, Young Serif and Outfit, so we'll grab those. But first, let's set up our HTML page, boilerplate. So I'm going to do Shift, ! tab. Again, that's one of the shortcuts in Visual Studio Code. If you're not familiar with Visual Studio Code and the shortcuts, I have a video on that I will link in the description. But Visual Studio Code is pretty much the industry standard nowadays, at least for like front-end development for, most simple projects. Let's go ahead and we'll make our title of the document Best Omelet Recipe. Best Omelet Recipe. And then let's go ahead and link our CSS file so that our styles go through. So we got our link tag, style sheet rel, style.css for the href. And then let's go ahead and just make an h1, says hello world. And let's go ahead and launch the page. So let me minimize this. And I'm going to hit go live. If you don't have this go live button, you can download it in the little extensions tab here. Just type in live and download live server, and then you'll relaunch. So it's right here. You can just download it or hit install, and you'll get that little live button down there, and then you can build your projects as you go live. So here is our recipe page, the live view. And then let's just make sure our CSS is working. Let's say H1 color red. Okay, so our CSS is connected. It's always good to test that out in the beginning to make sure you're good to go there. Let's do a CSS reset. So I'm going to select the whole page with the asterisk. I'm going to say margin 0, padding, padding 0, box sizing border box. And that just gets rid of all the default margin and padding that browsers like to add themselves. If you don't know what a CSS reset is, I also have a video on that I can link in the description for you. And then the next thing I want to do is get the fonts that we'll need for the project. So let me just make a P here and just type lorem 10, so a little paragraph, because we're going to get our fonts and then add them and then make sure they work right away. Because one of the fonts is for all the headings and the other font is for all the paragraph stuff. So, yeah. So let's go to Google Fonts and we'll grab them there. So we need young serif and outfit. So I'm going to type in Google Fonts. And I'm going to empty my little shopping bag here from the fonts that I used on another project. And first let's get young serif. There it is. So let's make this big so you guys can see. We'll click Get Font in the top right corner, Get Embed Code, and we're just going to copy all of this code here, and then we'll go back to our Visual Studio Code, and we're going to paste it in our index HTML, and let's go right above our style sheet link and paste that in, so that will give us all the fonts that we need for young serif. And then we also need to get the CSS font family code for that so that we use the right font family. So as you see, it's font family, it's got young serif, and then a serif font is a default if that doesn't load. And let's go ahead. And so for this particular project, guys, our headings are what's going to use young serif. So in our CSS, we can just make our main headings use that font right away. So let's say H1, H2, H3. Oops. Curly braces, and we'll just paste that font family young serif in there. So our H1 should be different now, and it is. So that young serif font is what we're going to be using for like the titles of little sections that say like ingredients and cooking instructions and stuff like that. So if we remove it, it'll change again back to the default. Okay, so yeah, there we go, it's working. And then our next font that we have to get is going to be the outfit font. So I'm going to remove all my fonts again. And let's go ahead to click on fonts again, and let's search for outfit. So just exit out here, and we'll say outfit. There's the outfit font, and again we'll click Get Font, Get Embed Code, copy the code, go back to our HTML, and let's go ahead and again above our CSS style sheet link and below the other font we'll paste in this other font. And then all of our paragraph tags are going to use the outfit color. So let's say P for paragraph in our CSS because it's going to be all paragraphs, or most of them by default. And then we'll go ahead and get the outfit CSS code here. So right here we got the outfit font family with the back default of sans serif if that doesn't load. All right. And then all of the text for our font is going to be like an off gray color for our paragraphs. And so let's just do that now while we're here. We're going to say color. And let's say hashtag 575351. Okay. So let's look at our paragraph font, and it's now the outfit font with that off gray color. So that's all good to go. That's like the main stuff that we really need to get set up here. Let's go ahead and pull up the design file for that, and look at it together. So let me minimize that really quick, and we'll get this desktop shot of it. So, okay, so we got our main file set up, guys. So now we're going to get coding here. So we got our fonts set up for our paragraph and our headers. As we go, we'll be changing the colors of different sections of the fonts, but we have the fonts set to what they're supposed to be, so that's all done. So now we can really get started on the actual project. So the first thing I'll do, the background of this is like a peach color, I guess. So we'll go ahead and add that first, and then we'll start building this thing and working our way down section by section, breaking it up into little pieces. So let's go back into our project code here. And we're going to say we want to make the background that peach color. So I'm going to go up here above the headings and paragraph stuff. I'm going to say body. I'm going to say background color. And it's this peach color. And it's hashtag F3E 5D8. All right. So there's that little peach color background. And I'm just going to show you guys, since the Figma design file didn't work and I couldn't get the exact colors from Figma, I took a screenshot of the design, which you see here. So this is like a screenshot, or I think this might be from the design file that you download from Frontend Mentor. It gives you the design. I took a screenshot of this on my Mac, and then I went to this website here, because sometimes you got to use websites to solve problems that you have as a developer. You're always going to be Googling stuff. You're never going to memorize everything, and you're going to have a bunch of random stuff happen that you need to solve an alternate way. So what I did is I just typed an HTML color detector to Google, and I found this website, HTML-color-codes. And then you can go ahead and paste an image from your computer in here. So I just pasted that screenshot, and that's how I was able to, when your image loads in here, you can just click on a part of the image and it'll give you the hex code. So that's how I got all the colors that I'm going to give you in this today. So that's like I know it looks a little blurry here, but the colors work. This is like the color for the heading for preparation time. This is how I got the color for the ingredient section. It's like one of these little colors here. Just kind of look at the design. It looks a little darker, so I think I went with that one. Just, again, eyeballing it. That's also how I got the color for the paragraph text. This like off gray. So I know I gave you like the E1, whatever. There's all these different ones you can select because it goes pixel by pixel, but as long as it's some kind of off gray, you're going to look pretty close to the design, and nobody looking at it with their naked eyes are going to be able to tell much of a difference from what you did just eyeballing it and using websites like this to the actual like design file. They're not, unless they want to get really nitpicky, right? But that's how I got all the colors I'm going to provide you in this program. Okay, this website right here, take a screenshot and click on the different sections to get colors. So, all right, let's continue on. So we got the background done. Now let's go ahead and get to building this. So let's start. We'll make a container for the whole thing, and it's got a white background. So we'll make like something that says like recipe card, and that'll be this whole thing that contains all of our content. We'll give it a background. We got some border radius, and then we're going to work our way down. So here we go. Let's go into our index.html. And first, we'll get rid of this stuff. We don't need this anymore. We'll use some main tags to be semantic with HTML, or at least a little semantic. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm not like the most semantic with my HTML all the time. There's all these tags. You're supposed to wrap every little thing in. I don't ever really build projects that way. Most people I know don't really do that, but I'll use main tags for the sake of trying to be a little more correct here. Let's make a div with an ID of recipe card. So recipe card. And this is going to be the main container for all of our content. So right here is like the card, okay? So it's going to be the white background that holds everything.
And then let's go ahead and we'll get that first little section out of the way that has the omelet image, and then we got an omelet image, an H1 heading, a little paragraph, and then this preparation time box with bullet points. So we'll do all that now. So let's go. First, we'll do the image. So I'm just going to say image. Or sorry, we're actually going to have another div within our recipe card div so that we can give stuff padding and do other things with it. And I'll show you, if all this is confusing to you, I'll put a border around everything with CSS a little bit later, and you can see why I did all these different divs within divs, okay? So I know that when I was first learning HTML and CSS, like all the divs within divs is super confusing, but when you build projects on your own, you eventually figure it out, and it's not so confusing. So just bear with me if it's confusing. Let's make a div in here, and we're going to call it recipe card content, because this is going to store all of our card content. And then within there, the first thing that we need is that omelet image. So let's do an image tag, and we're going to give this a class of omelet image. Let's say omelet -img. Then we'll actually get the omelet image. We'll say // go to our image and get the omelet image. Whoa, it's super big, but we'll fix that. But the omelet image is there. And then we'll just give it an alt text of omelet. Give it a little alt text there. And then let's go ahead and we'll do the rest of the section with the image, the HTML for it. So we got our omelet image, so we're going to do this heading and this paragraph next. So it says simple omelet recipe. So we'll go below the image, and I'll make a div called ingredients section. Okay. And then within our ingredients section, we're going to have that H1. So let's say H1, and we'll give it a class of main header. And again, I'm just using little shortcuts with Emmet, guys. So I put the H1 and then a dot right away and just typed out the name of the class, main header. That tells Visual Studio Code I want an H1 with the class of main header. So you don't have to follow what I'm doing. Just pause, write the code out the long way if you want to, okay? And in our main header, it says simple omelet recipe. So let's just put that in there, simple omelet recipe. And then below it, we have a paragraph. And it's got a bunch of text in here that I'm just going to copy and paste over because I don't want to type it all out. Go ahead and pause the video if you want to type this out or find some place to copy and paste it. So it says an easy and quick dish for any meal. This classic omelet combines beaten eggs cooked to perfection, optionally filled with your choice of cheese, vegetables, or meats. All right. And then under the paragraph, we have, let's pull up the design, look at that together. So we're going piece by piece here. So we got our image, our H1, our paragraph, and now we got to make this preparation time box. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go right underneath the paragraph. We're going to make we'll make another div, and it's going to have the class of preparation time container. So notice how when I make my classes, I make them longer than most people like to make their class names, but I like my stuff to be super descriptive so I know exactly what something does, okay? I don't want to have to guess. I don't like to abbreviate a bunch of stuff, especially if another developer was ever going to work on this project or any other project that I was building. Make stuff painfully obvious, guys, and it'll help the whole team out if you're working in a team, okay? So we got preparation time container, and then there's a little heading at the top of it there. And it just has the text preparation time. So we'll go ahead and add that in. And then below our H4, we have an unordered list. So we get our bullets. And then we're going to have, if we look at that preparation time thing, So this is what we're building right now. We got our H4. We're going to give it the background, this little pink background color. And now we're building this bullet point list. So it has a list items with some bolded text and then a colon and then some normal paragraph text. So that's what we're going to make ours look like. I'm going to make a CSS utility class for bold text. That way for any other areas like down here where we have some bold text and this looks bold too, I'm just going to make a class for bold text so that I can add to any of my HTML elements anytime I want to get that bold text effect, so that I don't have to write the same CSS or the same HTML constantly. So let's go down here in our unordered list. We'll say li list item, and then it has, the first one is total, and then colon, and then space, and then it says approximately 10 minutes, so we'll just copy that over. Now remember, I said I want to make that utility class for bold text. So the part that needs to be bold here is this total. So I'm gonna wrap that in a span. And a span is kind of like a built-in utility little HTML element that you can use to put classes on stuff and just manipulate one little part of like a paragraph or something. So I'm gonna put a class and we're gonna call it bold text, and when we do the CSS for this section, we'll make that the class of bold text actually have a font weight that's bold. So for now it's not going to look any different, but we'll do that in a second when we do the CSS. So we've got that, and then since we want all the rest of our LIs to pretty much follow that formatting, I'm just going to copy 2 more down and then just fill in the text. So the second one is says preparation. So let's go ahead and copy that in, or go ahead and pause and type that if you want. And then that is 5 minutes. So we can just do this. 5 minutes. And then the next one is cooking. So we'll go ahead and just be lazy and paste this over. And if your Figma file is working for this design, you'll be able to copy and paste all of this just like I am, which is nice. And it also says 5 minutes. Okay. So we got our heading and our list items, so that's looking okay. Let's keep going down. We're going to do all of our HTML until we get to the end of the first section. So we're going to go down that we just did our preparation time HTML, and now we're going to do the ingredients HTML all the way down to this little divider, and then we're going to pause and we're going to go do our style everything up with our CSS for this first section. And a lot of the CSS that we do for this first section is also going to carry over to all the other sections, so we'll actually be killing multiple birds with one stone, which will be nice. So let's keep trucking on here until we get down to this stopping point. All right, so let's go to below this div. So we have the ending of our list, and then below the div for the preparation time container, because that's going to be its own little area with the pink background. We're going to go below that, and then we're going to make an H3, and that H3 is going to say ingredients. So let's pull up that design again. So we're building this now, guys. Ingredients, and then another bolded list. This ingredients area, from what I see with my naked eye, and I could be wrong, it looks like it's kind of like a goldish color text. So same thing that we did here. We're going to create a utility class for gold text because it's throughout the project. It's here, it's here, it's here, and it's right here. So multiple elements are going to have the gold text, so we'll make a class for that. So let's go to our H3, say class, and we'll say gold text. Okay. And then below there, we're going to do our list. So another unordered list, bolded points. And let's look at the design again, pull it up. And the list bullet points are also looking like they have the same kind of goldish color. And I think that's gold, guys. Again, I don't have the... It's probably a different color, but the colors that I was getting were like a goldish color. So if it's different, it's the same concepts I'm telling you. Just do whatever color it actually is if you have that information. So I'm going to give this UL a class of gold list because we're going to write some CSS that makes the bullet points for our list that gold color a little bit later. And then we're just going to do our list items here. So I'm just going to copy and paste mine in to save some time. So we've got all these list items, and again, I'm just getting all of this stuff, all of the text for this. I'm getting it from the design right here. So 2 to 3 large eggs, salt to taste, pepper to taste, all that stuff is just right in here, okay? So there's that. That's the last part of this section before we get to the divider. So now we're here where we have to make a divider. And I'm going to show you, we're actually going to make that from scratch with just a little bit of HTML and CSS, okay? So those are actually really easy to make. So let's go below our UL and the closing div. And we're going to make a div with the class of divider, because that's pretty much what that thing is. It's a divider. So we'll say div with the class of divider, and then we'll style that up in a second. So let's get started here. This is what we have so far. Let's go full page. And we have our first section done. It's not looking so great, but we're going to style it up really nice right now. So let's go to our style.css. And what we're going to do is the first thing we're going to style is our main header, so that H1. So it should say H1 main header right here. And we'll just use the class name to select it. We could just select it with the H1 because it's the only H1 on the page, but we did it with the class, so we'll just do it with our class, whatever you want to do. So the H4 is it's actually the font family of, the H1 is the young serif font, which is we already got that on here, but it has a different color to it. And the color for that is going to be hashtag 2A2827. So it's kind of like a little off black color. Again, I got that using the color selector website. And then we're going to give it some margin on the top and bottom to give it some space so it's not right up against the picture here. So let's say margin, top and bottom 1 rem, and then on the side 0 rem. Okay, so that gave it some space. 1 rem, guys, is equal to 16 pixels, so it's just like a shorthand of saying, 16 pixels top and bottom rem. What we also need to do, which I totally forgot, is we got to style up this image and actually get the background for our card going so that our design looks like this. So it's got our image should look like that, and then it should be within this white background with some border radius on it on our card. So we can actually do that now before we get too much further along. So let's get that taken care of. So we need to first select our ID of recipe card. And let's actually put that up here. I like to do my CSS in the order of of how the stuff actually appears on the page. So this would be before the header. All right, so our recipe card, we're going to say background color white or hashtag FFF. There we go. So I gave it the white background. And then we're going to say margin, top and bottom. We want to give it some space from the very top of the page and the very bottom. So we're going to say 4 rem, top and bottom, and then auto left and right so that it gives it some margin, and then it'll end up, once we give everything a width, it'll center our card in the page. We're going to give a width to our recipe card of 735 pixels. So after we did that, you can see that's the width of the card. Now the image still needs to be knocked down, but it's starting to take shape, okay? And then since we said auto left and right, anything that you give a width to, like we gave it a width finally, and then if you give it a margin left and right of auto, that's how you can center stuff in the middle of a page. That's the little secret to that.
We got to give some border radius on the sides of 20 pixels. And you can see it there. So we got some border radius on the sides. And then we'll give the content some padding on the left and right side, because we don't want our content sucked up to the corners on the left and right. We got to give it some room. So we'll say padding, and we'll say 0 top and bottom, 1 rem left and right. And now our content's fitting into here a lot nicer. See, we got some space here. We got to fix our bullet points, but everything else has some space, which is good. All right, so let's fix this image because it's making everything look really ugly right now. So let's do, we'll select our omelet image. So right here, we gave our omelet image the class of omelet img. So we'll just say dot omelet image. And we're going to give this a width of 655 pixels. Okay, so that made it a lot smaller, which is good. And we're also going to curve the edges, so we're going to give it a border radius of 7 pixels. So now the edges are curved like our design. Alright, so that's starting to look better. We just got to center our image, which we will do in a second here. I want to select our recipe card content, which is the div that we have within our recipe card, and add some styles to that. So let's actually put that above the image. And it needs to actually go above the header too. Sorry, guys. So let's put that there, and then let's move our image above our header, because again, I want to do our CSS in the order that it appears on the page. All right. And for the recipe card content, I just want to use that mainly to give everything padding all around. So let's say padding all around of 2.5 rem. And that makes everything, it gives everything even just a little bit more room from the sides, which looks a lot better, and it looks more like the design if we look at it. Everything has plenty of room. So again, not perfect, but pretty good. And really quick, guys, actually, I did make a mistake. This recipe card content div is actually not necessary. I made a mistake on that, so let's just get rid of that. We don't really need it because we're actually gonna control the inner padding and everything else with just this recipe card ID div, our main one. So let's just go ahead and get rid of that. Sometimes I overcode. Make too many divs within divs, but that's okay. We'll get rid of that, and then we're actually just change the padding to that to 2.5 rem, and get rid of the recipe card content altogether in our CSS, and then we're good to go. So by doing that, what it does is it's gonna center everything on the page with our margin left and right automatically, and it's gonna get rid of unnecessary code that we don't want. So now you can see our image is nice and centered in here, and everything looks good. We got a little bit more space on the sides. So everything's looking good. Now we can go ahead and continue on. So where are we? So we're with the image, we did the heading, so now we got to start styling up this paragraph. So we already gave our paragraph, remember before, we gave it the color and the font family. So that actually looks pretty decent right now. Let's actually move on to the preparation time area, which looks like this. Okay, so we're going to build this now. So we're going to give it this little background pink color. We'll give this the pink for the heading here. And then you can see even our bullet points are going to be pink. And then we're going to make the CSS for the utility class to make everything nice and bold for what needs to be bold. So let's go below main header. And let's select our preparation time container. So let's copy that so we don't get any typos. And we'll say dot selector preparation time container. And let's give it some margin top because it's too close to everything. So let's say margin top and bottom is going to be 2 rem and then 0 rem left and right. Okay, so there we go. Give us some nice spacing there. And then let's give it the background color of, let's say, hashtag FFF7FC. So it's kind of like that background pinkish color.
And then let's give it a border radius all around of 7 pixels, just like our image. So curves our sides a little bit. And then we're going to give it some padding. And we're going to do shorthand. So we're going to say 1.5 rem of padding for the top. 0 rem for the padding right. So this goes clockwise, so it goes top, right, bottom, left when you're doing it this way. So we have top, right. Now the bottom is also going to be 1.5 rem, and the left we're going to say 3 rem because we want to push this content way over into the box and save. And the reason I'm doing that is because that's how the design is. See, this stuff is kind of pushed over more than all the other bullet points. It's pushed pretty far in the box, so that's why we're doing that. And then let's go down to the preparation time heading here. And that is going to be, so we made that one in H4. So let's put a class on here just to organize everything better. And we'll just say prep time heading, so we know exactly what it is. I don't just want to put an H4 down for my styling. And we'll select it. We'll say prep time heading. And we're going to give it the outfit font family like all the other. Wait, is it outfit? Let's see. Yep, it's actually going to be the outfit font family, like the paragraph. It's not going to be like the other ones. So we'll give it this font family. We'll copy that down and put it on there. Okay, so there's our font. And then we're going to give it that little pinkish color. So we'll say color, hashtag 6F103D. And then we got to style up our list items here. So let's say all of the list items are going to pretty much have universal styling. So let's go ahead and pull them up. So our list items looks like they're using that same outfit font family. So we got to add our font family and just maybe give some paddings, because on all of the bullet points there's some pretty significant padding to the left. So we'll add that as well. So let's say LI, and we're going to give it the font family of outfit for our LIs going forward. And then let's say padding left 1 rem, pushes them over. And then let's say margin top and bottom 1 rem, 0 rem left and right. Space them out. And then let's give them the same color as our paragraph text to make it uniform. Okay, so it's kind of like that off gray. So that's just one of the design principles, guys. Like, make sure you're most of the time your headings are going to match in color and in font family style, and then your paragraphs and LIs should all have the same color and font family, so everything looks like it goes together. Okay. And then our markers here. So these are called these bullet points. We need to make these that pinkish color according to the design, so they're the same color. So what we're going to do is we're going to select the LIs. So we're going to say LI : marker. And this is what allows you to take control and color them. So we're going to give them the same color as the heading and save. And now it did it to all of our LIs, but we're going to fix that later. But we are going to use this styling for this one, okay? So that's how you change the color of bullet points. I know that when I first did this project, that was something new for me. Even after all this time that I've been coding, I've never had to do that, so that was cool. And let's move down now. So we have our remember, for the total preparation for all this text before the colon, it's bold, and we have our bold text utility class that we made in our span. So let's select that and style that up now. So we'll say dot bold text, and we're going to say font weight is going to be bold, and that should be good for that.
And then now we need to go down to the ingredients section, and we'll go ahead and style that up. So let's look at the design. So for the ingredients section, we're going to make the text gold, a little gold color. And then same thing, it's just a gold color heading, and then some bullet points and a divider. So another unordered list with a divider. So we can do that pretty easy. Did we give? Yeah, we did. So we have a gold text class already on our H3. So it's another kind of like utility class. So we'll just say dot gold text, and we'll add the color, and that color is going to be hex code 7E5039. There we go. Now we got that gold coloring there. And then we need to fix since we did a lot of the styling for all the LIs already right here, it kind of carried over down here, which is nice. But we need to fix these. These have like the pink bullet points, and we need them to be gold. So we put a class on our UL for this list of gold list. So check this out. We're going to say dot gold list, and then we're going to use li, and then colon marker again. So just another way of selecting the list, guys. We did a little cheat code. We put a class on here, and then we said the LIs that have the UL with this class only should have the gold. Okay, so just another way of selecting it so that we can have different color bullet points in different sections. And again, it's going to be the gold color, so we'll say color. There's our gold color. Boom, now we got the gold bullet points. So that's actually looking pretty good. That's pretty much all we need to do for that section because a lot of the styling's carried over, so that's nice. And it looks pretty close to the design. Not bad for eyeballing it. I'm pretty happy with how that looks. Now we got to code up this little divider, this little gray divider here before we get started on our next section. So let's do that. So I think we already have the divider, a div with the class divider. And I'll now show you how to create little dividers. So I'll say dot divider. And we're going to give this div a background. A little background color. And it's going to be hashtag E2E2E2. So it's like kind of like an off grayish color like the one in the design. And we're going to give it a height of 1 pixel. And look, you can already see it there. There's our divider. And let's give it some margin so it's not so close to this thing. Let's say margin, top and bottom 2 rem, 0 rem left and right. And there it is, guys. So that's our divider. So again, to make little dividers, this is pretty common in a lot of like different designs. You can, again, easily make them by just give a div with whatever class you want to name your class on the div, background color, and a height, and that's how you make lines. And you can make the line fatter, like if you want it to be 5 pixels, you just control that with the height. Okay, so now it's like really fat. We can make it like 2 pixels, but in the design it's pretty much, it looks like it's just 1 pixel. It's pretty thin, so that's how you control the height. And that's pretty much, yeah, it's looking good. Let's check out the design. Yep, so it should be just as long as the content pretty much, and it is. So looking good. There's our divider line. So now we're going to move on to the next section, which has very similar styling, and it's the instructions section. So the only difference really in this next section is going to be, look, we're even going to be able to use our little bold text utility class and everything. We're just going to be using, instead of an unordered list, we're actually going to be using an OL tag for ordered list, so that each step instead of a bullet point is a number in order. So ordered list is what we're going to use for that. Okay, so again, next section is just going to be heading, which we already have ready to go. We've already done that before. A list and another divider. So let's get that done. So let's go below the divider. We'll do an H3, and we're going to have the gold text class on that. So h3.gold text, and this should say instructions. And then below our H3, we're going to do our ordered list. So let's say OL. And we're still going to use we're actually going to use our gold list class so that everything comes out gold for the numbers. So let's say class gold list. And now we're just going to make our list items with the same bold text span. So what I'm going to do to save some time is just copy paste my list items in here. And again, we have an LI. We've got the span of bold text for our little heading thing that says so it says whatever is going to be in bold, then a colon, and then the rest. So it's just like what we just did on the last list. And you can go ahead and pause now if you want to go ahead and just type all this out. It's the same thing that we did up here with this list. So LI, span, bold text, colon, and then instructions. So, and again, I just got all this. I actually had to type all this out. It was kind of a pain in the butt because I couldn't copy paste it. So you can just pause it here if you want to type everything out. But yeah, that's the same thing that we've already done, guys. So copy paste that in for you, and look, this section's pretty much done now. That's pretty much it, right? So the only thing that we have to put at the bottom now is a divider. So say dot divider, save. I think I misspelled that. Let's go ahead and just copy paste it. What I should have done the first time. Always copy and paste whenever you can, guys, to save typos and errors. And there's our divider. So let's pull up the design and compare. So instructions. So yep, looks good to me. Again, we already did a lot of these stylings in the first time that we made a list, so everything is just going to carry over really nicely. So yeah, it looks like these numbers might actually be a little bold. And so let's see if we can change that. So let's say font weight bold. Yep, and it makes them bold. There we go. That actually looks even closer to the design now. I actually didn't catch that the first time I built this. There it is. I think they look bold. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they do. So I think that looks closer. So now we got to do our final section, which is the nutrition section. And this was kind of a pain in the butt because at first I made this an HTML table, but then it wasn't really working out because we have these divider classes here that we have to add again. So I just did it a different way. So I'll show you how I did that. But this was only the pain in the butt. This is the only section that kind of gave me a little bit of trouble. But I was able to pretty quickly figure it out. But yeah. So let's go ahead and build that now. Let's go to our HTML. And below our divider, we're going to say H3 again with our gold text class. And I'm going to say nutrition. And then below the H3 is going to be a paragraph. And we're going to give this a class of nutrition P because it's got a little bit different styling than the other paragraphs. And then I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste in the text. So it says the table below shows nutritional values per serving without the additional fillings. Okay. So there's that one. And the reason that we gave it the nutrition P paragraph, it's because this is like one of the only paragraphs on its own that we've made where we haven't put margin on anything. So I'm just using that class to add some margin, honestly. But that's okay. I mean, we can do whatever we want. So we'll put nutrition P on there. We'll do that in a second with CSS. And now we have to make this annoying little table. So we're not going to make an HTML table because I just couldn't get an HTML table to format correctly. So I just ended up building this out like with divs and I think Flexbox. So I'll show you how I did that now. So we'll go into our HTML below our paragraph. And we'll make a div with the class of nutrition table. And then we're going to have each one of the sections for each macronutrient, calories, carbs, protein, like this is going to have its own div. This is going to be its own div. We're going to have multiple like little div sections that separate everything out. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll say dot nutrition card. And then the first one that we have is calories. So we'll put a P, and I'm going to give it a class of macro P because it's a macro it's a paragraph for a macronutrient. That's what those are called, carbs, fats, and all that. I was a personal trainer. I'm really into I'm literally, when I make these videos for you guys, I'm in my home gym / office. I have like a huge squat rack behind me, so I'm into all this nutrition crap that you might not be into, but anyway, yeah. So calories, and then save. All right, and then we'll put how many calories are next to it. So let's make another paragraph, and this is actually gonna have a couple of classes on it that we've used before. We're gonna put the gold text class on here because these are in gold. And then we're also going to put the bold text class because it's also bolded. And then the first one is 277 kcal. There we go. So there's that. And now I'm just going to copy this down a couple more times. So 3 more times. So say 1, 2, 3. And everything is the same. We just have to type in the actual content in the paragraphs. So the second one is carbs. And for carbs, we're going to put 0 grams. So this is a keto diet friendly omelet, apparently. But remember, this is without the filling. So if you add like meat or potatoes or something, this information would change. But as it stands, this is just if you made like an egg-only omelet with no filling, basically. Yeah. So after carbs, we have protein. And that's going to be 20 grams of protein. And last but not least, we have fat. And that is 22 grams. Okay. And then in between every one of these, which I forgot, there's going to be a divider. So above here, we're going to put our divider. Let's copy and paste so we don't mess this up. It's going to be a divider here, a divider here, and a divider here. So see that? That's looking more like the design. All I have to do is put this stuff like side by side. So let's go into our CSS. And the first thing we'll style up is our nutrition P. So let's grab that class that we made here for the paragraph. And for that, we're just going to say margin 1 rem top and bottom, 0 rem left and right. There we go. So that just gave it some breathing room. And then we're going to go below that, and we're going to select the, what's next? Nutrition table. We'll say dot nutrition table. And we're going to give this a little bit of breathing room. So let's just say margin top 2 rem. There we go. So just increase the spacing there. And then for our nutrition cards, so the nutrition card is each one of these divs that contains the macronutrient information. Let's say dot nutrition card. And we're going to say display flex, so that now they're side by side. But if you look at the design, they're not just side by side, they're also separated by quite a bit of space here. So let's go ahead and do that. And how we're going to do that is we're going to grab our macro P paragraphs. So right here, the macro P's that just list the macronutrients, carbs, fats, proteins, and calories. And we're just going to do that by giving it a width. So I'm going to give this a width. So let me, just so I can articulate or illustrate what's going on here, I'm going to give this a border of 1 pix, solid, and red. So see our borders now, and we can even make it thicker just so you can really see it. So there we go. This is the element. And now what I'm going to do, just to show you guys, is I'm going to give this them a width of 300 pixels. And what that does is it extends, even though our text ends here, I still made the whole macro P wide. And that's what's pushing this over here so that it looks more like the design. So see the design, see how there's a bunch of space here. You can try to use padding for this, but if you do that, they're all going to be like out of whack. If you just say like, hey, if you just take this element and say like padding left, 5 rem or whatever, they all end up in different places because each one of the macronutrients has a different number of characters. So it like off centers everything. But just by giving a width to the macro P element and then giving it a border. The only reason I gave it a border is to show you guys what's going on. I already know what's happening, but by giving it a width, it pushes everything out the same distance, so everything still looks nice and uniform, just like the design. So that's a little trick if you ever want to like give something an equal amount of space in between a bunch of divs. Just put a width on something, and then you can even give it a border to really see what you're doing. I had to do that a lot when I was first learning HTML and CSS. I put borders on stuff all the time just to see like what I was actually doing. Okay, so that's just a little trick. And then we're going to give some padding left. So from here over, we're going to give padding left of 2 rem. Just because, so now you can see that it's not so close to the edge. And that's just because that's how the design looks. See, there's all this space right here. I wouldn't have done that myself, but I'm just following the design. So, and we can even push this over more. We could say 400 pixels if we wanted to, or 350, because it looks like they might even be even further over. So whatever, however you want to do it, doesn't really matter. It looks pretty close to the design. Let's take this border off because we don't need that anymore. And yeah, so that's pretty much the finished product for the desktop version, guys. Let's see how we did. So here's what we just built. Looking pretty good. Now let's look at the design. Let's compare. I think we did a damn good job. So now we just got to do a couple of media queries in our CSS, and we'll make it look good on small screens. We'll make it look responsive. So let me grab that photo here. So this is how we're going to make it look on mobile screens. It's not too much different. It's basically it's identical. We just got to fix the widths and paddings of some stuff. And then the major difference is our image is now going to be at the top of the page, taking up 100% of the width. So it'll be a little bit different looking, but everything else is virtually the same. So not too much we have to do here. Let's go to our CSS, and I'm going to make a comment here where our media queries begin for mobile responsiveness, just to make it obvious. So we got media queries. And then I'm going to say at media screen, and then we'll say max width 700 pixels. Sorry guys, at media max width 700. So everything 700 pixels and below is going to have the mobile look to it basically. And we're just basically going to change some widths. So let's pull up our project here. Can't see it. Well, I'm going to right click and hit inspect. And this is the Google Pixel 3. So we'll just keep it here. So this is what it looks like currently on mobile. It doesn't look great. We're going to fix it. So let's put it on like an iPhone 12. That's a little more modern. 100% zoom. There we go. So this actually doesn't look too bad, but we're going to make it look exactly how it should. So the first thing we're going to select and change is our recipe card. So let me select that. And for our, so we don't really need the background. Like, we shouldn't really be seeing that anymore according to the mobile design. We don't need this background at all. We're going to just get rid of all of the margin and everything. So we're going to say, first of all, our width is now going to be, we're going to get rid of the background color. We don't need that code in there. Our margin is going to be 0 rem top and bottom. So that gets rid of that. We're going to get rid of the border radius. We're going to turn it to 0 pixels. And our width is going to be 100% instead of 735 pixels, just so it takes up the whole screen of whatever mobile screen it's on. So you can see that all those changes alone already made our design look way better. This is pretty much all we have to do, other than changing the image, because you can see as we zoom out, now our image is all messing everything up. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to actually make a separate mobile image. So we're going to, guys, to get this to work, we're actually going to have to change our HTML up a little bit. I remembered now why I had that other class in there for the recipe card content, and it was because when I made this stuff mobile. So that's not a big deal. We just got to change a few things in our HTML to get this to work. So let's actually remake that recipe card content div. And we're going to take the closing div, and it's going to go above main in the last div. So main last div, it needs to go right here. And then what we need to do is, let's go back to our desktop view for a second and copy that. And we're going to take this away from here, this padding, and put it on this one. There we go. And by doing that, guys, because I can't have, for mobile view, we can't have any padding on where the image is. The image takes up the whole top part. And the only way to do that is to make this other recipe card content div so that I can now put a mobile image up here that will only show on mobile screens. And then it won't be confined to the rules of this, all the content that has that padding of 2.5 rem, if that makes sense. So if it doesn't make sense, it's going to very soon, because we're going to do this. We're going to say image, and we're going to give it a class of mobile. We'll call it mobile omelet image. And we'll give it the alt text of omelet again. And then we're going to say ./image omelet. So now we have 2 images up there. And now what we're going to do is take our omelet image code and bring it down here. This is our desktop one, and for mobile screens, we're going to have that display none. Let's get that out of the way. And let's right click inspect. And now we're back to mobile screens, and so let's take this away just so you can see that. Now we have 2 images, so when we go display none, takes that away. And now that we have this mobile image outside of our recipe card content div that we just created, it's not going to have any padding like the rest of the content because it's outside of that flow. Okay, so hopefully you understand that. If you don't, think about it. Think about it, rewatch the part, watch what I did. So we got the omelet image, none, and now we have to style up our mobile image. So for that, we're just going to select our class. And we also need to make sure that mobile image doesn't display on desktop. So before we do that, let's do this. Just put it down here. Mobile omelet image on our desktop. We want to display that as none, so it doesn't mess up our desktop. Beautiful design. So there we go. And then it's mobile omelet image down here. And all we're going to say is display block width 100%. Oops. Sorry, guys. Let's right click, go back to our mobile view on inspect. Forgot our dot here. Save. And there it is. There's our mobile omelet image. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. That's really it. Let's go full screen. That's pretty much it, guys. That's really all we have to do to get it to look good on mobile screens. I'm happy with that. So our image is now full screen at the top. And that whole thing that we did, so we can just go through like a couple of different devices here. And then we can turn them landscape. Still going to be that. As long as it's under 700 pixels, it's going to show the mobile view. So if we go to like the iPhone 14 Pro Max, it'll show the mobile view. And then if we flip it to portrait or to landscape mode, it's now 932 pixels. So it'll actually show the user the desktop version. Okay, so that's pretty much it, guys. Desktop Max, this is like a tablet. If you want, you can go right click and inspect and just go through all the things, but it should look good on any device now, the way that we have our media query set up. Let's see, this is like a really small screen, 320, still looks good. Everything still looks good. That's an iPhone 5, so super old, right? So maybe we can fix some of the padding and the preparation time, I guess, if we want to really get nitpicky. Let's see. Can copy this down. And we can just do the padding part. And we can say maybe 2 rem padding for the right. Just so it brings everything in on the right here. So that looks better. So maybe that's all I would really change. Everything else can be the same. That looks a little better now. So that's just being nitpicky, but if you're if you're making a portfolio, if you're trying to be a professional web developer, either freelance or get a job, these little details actually do make a difference. So it's good to fix them. Galaxy S5, that's like a super old phone, but yeah, you guys get the point. It looks good in mobile. We did a good job here, so it wasn't too tough of a project. Again, this is a really good beginner project. I think it was great at the end that you could see even I made a mistake because I didn't remember why I made that recipe card content class. I deleted it in the beginning, but made it for a reason. I just forgot why. That's why it's best to do these projects right when I build them, but I had to wait like a week to record this, so sometimes you forget those details. But yeah, guys, so that thing that I did where I made 2 different images, one to display desktop, one to display mobile, that's a very common thing if you're just building like HTML, CSS websites, that sometimes, depending on how designs look, you might have to, like one whole section of a website, you might have to code in HTML a certain way for desktop, and then code like a mobile version right below it, and then just display them none in the media queries and have them display only on certain screen sizes. That's just sometimes what you have to do. But that's going to conclude this project in this video, guys. It's already going a little too long. I'm going to have the code and other videos linked down in the description, and a live website that I'll launch this live on the internet with Netlify if you want to check that out. Everything in the description. Thank you so much for watching. We're almost at 400 subscribers. I appreciate all the positive comments and all the subscribers that I get almost daily now. Yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.